Welcome to the Choose Your Own Finance podcast, a podcast by two expats for expats. I'm Blair,
And I'm Tun.
and today we're going to be talking about what's in the news. So, what have you seen in the news, Tune?
Yeah, there's quite well, Blair. There's been a couple of things that's caught my eye, and it's Saudi Arabia. So they've been in the news quite a bit lately, and we've actually talked about Saudi Arabia in the past.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and well, last time when we mentioned Saudi Arabia, they were being accepted into the BRICS.
Yes, the BRICS. This is the counterpart to the G7, right?
That's exactly right. So for those who aren't familiar with BRICS is the acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, and
China. And the S is South Africa.
Is South Africa, that's
right. Yeah, so now Saudi joined along with, what was it, 7 or 8 other countries?
Yes, quite a few other countries, including the UAE as well.
Yeah.
So they officially joined on January the 1st of this month.
Right, so fresh and joined up.
That's
so this
right.
is Saudi opening up their economic vision, bringing themselves to the table. A seat at the table of BRICS is a way to engage internationally, economically. But Saudi's also been going through a lot of other ways of opening up.
Definitely too, because I think Prince Mohammed bin Salman's 2030 vision is a grand one, and he's looking to literally change the whole country, both from an economic to socially
Socially,
as
culturally, right? With women, just a few years ago, women being able to drive. That's a
right.
huge change. I know I have a friend that lives in Riyadh, and she says that you can tell the strain on the roads because essentially the number of drivers doubled, right, overnight.
That's exactly, and a lot of people mentioned the increased traffic on the roads, and I think the roads definitely needs to be expanded to accommodate all the additional drivers now.
And these are massive cultural changes, right?
It is too. So it's something that that haven't happened for them, and I guess it's a good change. In the short term, it's going to cause minor teething problems as society adjusts, but in the long term, I think everyone will accept it and enjoy the benefits it brings.
Yeah, but it's happening very quickly. One of the things I also heard noted is that you can now go to concerts and music venues in Saudi, but that people aren't quite sure how they should be behaving in those venues. So it's creating a little bit of confusion, I think, among the population, because the sort of protocols or standards, or I don't know what would you call it, just the schema of how do you act when you go into these spaces just doesn't exist there because it's so new.
Yes, it is unknown, and I guess slowly society will adjust and things will change and evolve as well. So
well, and you were just mentioning that there's a new liquor store that is now open in Saudi. It seems unbelievable.
This was something that I did not expect to occur, or definitely not at this stage. I thought maybe in 5-10 years from now it would occur. Because for now they're concentrating on more less I guess issues that's big like that. For example, allowing tourism into the countries.
Yeah. Tourist visas are now open. I've gone into Saudi as a tourist without my husband, as a woman traveling with my child alone. And of course, women driving is a huge one. It really opens up a lot more economic activity for half of the population, right? And the way that the culture police have their role has been significantly decreased. A friend of mine lives in Riyadh, and she said that her neighbor didn't believe really that all these changes were really happening until the culture police, they used to have a station in every neighborhood, and the culture police aren't there anymore. And when he saw that the cultural police were not around, that's when he believed that things were really, really changing.
Yeah, definitely. And given that alcohol is such a strong religious component of it, I didn't think it was going to be changed this early and this fast.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's really just one small step at a time. It's not widespread.
Yeah.
Because I have an article from the Times here that says Saudi Arabia breaks tradition with its first liquor store. Now, despite the headline, the liquor store is only in a very small diplomatic part of Riyadh. So it's not widespread at this stage, only a very small diplomatic parts. So in the past, well, it was 1952 was when they banned alcohol, and it's now 2024, so 72 years since that. So that's going to be an interesting development. And one of the reasons they gave was that they wanted to counteract the illegal alcohol smuggling done by diplomats, because as we know, diplomats can't have their pouches or
Their luggage
their
isn't
luggage
inspected. Yeah.
inspected. So that was one of the ways some of the diplomatic was able to bring alcohol and other banned substances into.
Well, and also
Saudi.
there's a lot of people in Saudi brew their own, right? There's a big culture of that, right? And so I think it's actually safer just to be able to buy stuff that's produced properly.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried a home brew, you know that often you end up with quite a headache the next day. It can be a little bit dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
So I can see how it would actually counteract some maybe negative forces in society, right? The smuggling or the homebrew, make it more controlled, much like is happening across the United States and a lot of Europe with the legalization of marijuana, where it becomes a regulated trade rather than an unregulated black market.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It is very similar to what the US have done as such. And as mentioned, it's not widespread, so they're requiring people to register. So you have to have apply to be able to buy alcohol.
Is it an alcohol license?
Very similar
I
to
used
what
to
we
have
had
one
in
of those
UAE.
here.
So did I too.
A little passport
yeah.
that you had to write everything that you spent into.
Yeah. And there's also a limit to how much alcohol you can buy as well, which I think is
Which was the way it
good
used to be
thing
here.
too. Exactly.
Yeah.
To so limit the so people don't go too crazy, hopefully, in spending all their money on alcohol.
Yeah.
So in a way, instead of making it illegal, just control it slightly, so make sure
And
alcohol
tax
doesn't
it.
get out of hand.
And tax it as well, right?
That's a possible thing in the future as well.
Yeah.
What they do, and I guess by introducing it just into the different areas, it's allow everyone to adjust to the new thing slowly over time. So
with controls.
with control rather than shocking this whole system and allowing some stores to pop up everywhere.
You know, it's interesting because actually across Europe and North America, young people are drinking less, right? Actually drinking is on the decrease in a lot of places, and there's a lot of movements for sobriety and sort of disconnecting your social life from alcohol. So it's interesting to see Saudi, in being progressive, is actually allowing something that in many other places, in becoming more progressive, it's actually less emphasized.
Yeah, and I think by removing the illegal aspect of it, it destigmatizes it, and there's that less urge to do something that's kind of like illegal.
Right.
Because some people have that excitement in their mind.
The forbidden fruit.
Exactly, it's forbidden.
Yeah, it's interesting.
As such, so
and I think it's also really symbolic too, right? Because the Saudi has always been this place that I've imagined where there's just so much restriction, right? And so many of these restrictions have now faded, right? Now there is cultural entertainment. There is now women can freely move in and out of the country as tourists or as driving, and even the alcohol I think it's symbolic of an openness to things that perhaps aren't Saudi culture, but an openness to other cultures.
Definitely too. It is a big step forward and move, because I think everyone recognises how big of a symbolic movement this is. Because alcohol is such a big no-no from a religious point of view.
Yes, that's right.
That by making this, Saudi is willing to reform and change remarkably for the global scheme, I think. And I guess, they're looking to open themselves up for more further trade and tourism and economic
Yeah.
development.
Well, I think that this softens the risk of an employee relocating to Saudi. It becomes a little bit easier, right? It becomes a little bit easier if you're a tourist. You might be a little bit more likely to go. So I think these reforms will make an economic difference.
It has, and it is already making a big difference too. As you mentioned too, Saudi is known for their very strictness and laws. Given Prince Salman's Vision 2030 and all the project and development, they're needing a huge amount of global employees to come there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very hard to attract global talents and people to come there if you have such strict rules, especially towards the female employees as well, because female expats are unlikely to work in Saudi if their movement are restricted, if they can't drive, they can't do things, and they're forced to in the more traditional ways.
Yeah.
So that's going to cause a lot of problems if you're looking for fast development. But by opening up like this, it allows attract more employees to come here.
Yeah. And speaking of employees going to Saudi,
and as I've mentioned, it's it's working because recently I've just accepted an offer to work in Saudi Arabia with the Saudi government. So initially I was a little bit concerned, I guess, but or I wasn't really concerned much, but other family members were, especially my mum, because she understood that Saudi was quite more strict on a lot of things compared to UAE and things like that. But I did assure her that things are changing remarkably, and my safety and security was much the same in the UAE. And as a result, she gave me her blessings.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we'll be moving to Jeddah in March and starting a new role there.
I'm very sad that you're going, but I can just see a vision of you sitting with a cocktail on the beach in Jeddah, enjoying these pristine beaches without so many tourists, because it's not overrun yet.
Or Jeddah is quite busy. In the short term, it will be a mocktail for now. Mocktail for now.
Yes.
But if I do stay long enough, it could become a cocktail. I guess you never know how fast things change.
You have to be careful because we all say we're only going for 2 years and then we're still here, right? Who knows how long you'll be there?
Yes, I'm only going for 2 years.
Well, thanks for joining in to the Choose Your Own Finance podcast. Hope that you'll meet us next time.
Yep, and if you see me in Jeddah, come and say hi. Bye-bye.